Aloha, my name is Arielle Leon. This is Charlie, and today we're going to practice some gentle yoga as a way to embody our intention of contentment. This is how we find inner peace and happiness through every waking moment of our lives. Instead of making things good or bad, right or wrong, or instead of wanting things to turn out a certain way or not turn out a certain way, we instead choose to accept the circumstances of our life as it's happening right now. So as you move through your practice today, notice any attachment or aversion and instead choose what is right now. If you want to practice to music today, there is a playlist in the comments below. Go ahead and open it up and we'll hit play together in 3, 2, 1, go. So as you find your seat, you're welcome to sit cross-legged as I am, or if it feels better to sit with your heels pulled back underneath your seat, you can do that. And then the blocks just help you sit up a little taller so you don't strain your back. You can add a slight internal rotation of your thighs so the sitting bones kind of broaden and you have a bigger base. Again, we'll start with some breathing. So go ahead and just relax your arms down, close your eyes if you're ready. Exhale everything out. And take a nice deep breath in through your nose. Open mouth, exhale, let it go. We'll just take 2 more of those satisfying breaths. Inhaling. Sigh it out, let it go. Last one, the deepest breath, drink it in. Give it back. Now please place your palms on your low belly, just below the belly button. With the eyes closed, bring your attention into this space and feel your belly expand into your hands, inhaling into the low belly. Then as you breathe out, feel the belly slightly draw in, retracting. Try that again. Give your belly permission to pour out into your palms. And like a balloon deflating, feel the belly slightly retract, drawing in. And we'll just do that one more time, focusing the breath all the way down. So you got to fill the whole chamber all the way to the base of your abdomen. And then let it out. And then we'll focus on the rib cage next. So you can do this 2 ways. You can crisscross your arms like you're wearing a straight jacket and place your hands on the outer ribs, or you can take the hands on either side of the ribs. But I want you to feel as you inhale your rib cage expanding into your palms. Like you can move your ribs open side to side, right and left. And as the breath leaves, the ribs slightly contract like you're wearing a corset. Just bring your mind's eye into that space, breathing into the rib cage, expanding side to side. And then the ribs slowly draw back together. Visualize that expansion happening within. And then letting it go. Now, touch the chest just above the sternum, right at the breastbone, the base of the collarbones, and take the breath there. Feel your chest slightly lift upwards towards your chin. And then it drops back and down on the breath out. So this is where we commonly breathe, this shallow breathing. Just notice it again. Let it go. And on this last one, imagine the front and the back of your chest moving forward and back like this 360-degree expansion in the upper half. Good. And as you exhale, you can relax your arms. And we're going to try to fill all of those chambers. So now as you breathe in, imagine the lower belly filling with breath, followed by the rib cage, followed by the chest. And then the exhale starts from the top down, from the chest, the rib cage, and then the belly. Practice this full body breath again from the belly, breathing in, the ribs, to the chest. Empty from the chest, through the ribs, Really complete that belly breath at the very end. Punch it out just a little bit. Again, inhaling, fill the belly, the ribs, the chest. Exhaling from the chest, down to the ribs, all the way to the belly. Think of the 360-degree sphere as you breathe into the low belly and the low back. The ribs go right and left and forward and back. The chest lifts in all directions. And then the siphoning in of the chest, ribs, belly. And just a couple more like that. Inhaling, belly, ribs, chest. Full of breath, full of life and energy. And then emptying out from the chest, the ribs, the belly, this emptiness, this contentment, this peace with what is. One more time, filling up from the bottom. Exhaling from the top down. Very nice. And then just drawing the hands together in front of the heart, bowing inwards towards yourself. To set this intention of contentment, of choosing what is, whatever circumstances are occurring in your life right now. Anything you can't change, we must accept. Breathe in that acceptance. Very nice. All right, now take your time to go and open up the eyes. We'll come onto the hands and knees. Just move your blocks or your pillow aside. I'll meet you in a tabletop. And since we were sitting for a while there, we'll stretch out the legs. So keep that left knee bent underneath your left hip. We'll just tuck the right toes, press back through the right heel, and do a little pulse as the right heel moves forward and back a little bit. You can straighten through the right leg and stretch your calf, your hamstring. And the eyes can just gaze slightly down. Stay with the breathing. Good. We'll take another round. And then start to hover the right toes up off the floor so your heels is floating right behind the line of your hip. And you can stay like this with both hands on the mat or extend the opposite arm forward. So the left arm. And see if you can lift your left arm high enough so you can't even see your bicep in your peripheral vision. Gazing down, you can see that right index finger knuckle is glued to the ground to protect your wrist. Accept what is, the shaking, the strength, the length. Take a deep breath in. Good. Now as you exhale, curl in. So the left elbow meets the right knee or the nose comes to the knee. Inhale and press extend. Right foot extends back, left arm forward. Do that again. Exhale, curling in, elbow towards the knee. Inhale, stretch it long. Good. Breathe out, elbow to knee. Feel your abdominal engage, drawing the navel in. Breathe in, stretch back through your toes. You're strengthening your hamstring, your back body. Let's do that one more time. Exhale as you hug elbow to the knee. Inhale, stretch it out. Very nice. Now we'll keep the right leg straight. Just tuck the right toes under back on the mat where they came from. And then spin your left arm to the sky. So you can take a twist here, left arm high. You can relax the right ear down if that feels good in your neck. And then maybe you can draw some left wrist circles, that left hand. Cool. Take another good breath in. And start to weave your left arm underneath your right arm, coming into a variation of thread the needle. Stretch your right arm forward if that feels comfortable for you. So now you have your right toes reaching back, your right arm reaching forward, both grounded on the mat. And see if you can take that extra length into the side of your waist, the right side. And with that extra length, add a little more of a twist. Perhaps your eyes can start to peer up underneath the right arm at the sky. Another deep breath. And then we'll walk the right hand back in. Keep your legs the way they are. Unwrap your left hand, open into that twist. Inhale. Good. And then start to reach your left hand back. Float your right toes off your mat and see if you can catch the right foot with your hand. Now think of using this as a shoulder stretch first. Kicking your foot into your hand, help you open up your left shoulder and your pec. Good. And then maybe pull the heel in a little more if you want to get more into the quad and the hip. Good. Find the balance by hugging the inner thighs to the midline. Accept what is. One more breath. Awesome. Then we'll just come back to the tabletop. Go ahead and round your spine so you can find that cat pose and reset the back bend. Breathe out. Awesome. Find a neutral spine with your shoulders drawn back. Hug the low ribs in. And then we'll just tuck the left toes under and press back through the left leg. You can add a little pulse here. If that feels good. Keep your neck nice and long. Gazing on the earth just a few inches in front of the line of your fingertips. Okay, and then we'll settle in to stillness. Start to lift your left toes off the floor. And try to be really active through that left leg too. So you're pressing out through the ball mound, you're turning on the quadricep, squeezing the muscles to help float the bone. And then staying like that, or the right arm comes up by the ear, high enough so you can't even see the bicep through the peripheral vision. Stabilize the index finger of the left hand. Take a breath in. Good. And then exhale, we'll coil in that right elbow to the left knee or the nose to the knee if you're in the other variation. Inhale, stretching long. Exhale, folding in. 2 more. Breathe in, reach. Breathe out, contract. Good. Strong and long spine. Breathe in. Exhale, strong core. Very nice. Now extend long. Take an inhale. And keep the left leg straight. Just bring the toes back down to the earth behind you. And then spin your right arm open to a twist. Option to bring the left ear down towards the left shoulder. And then maybe the right wrist gets some love. Stay active through your left leg, just like it was when it was floating. Take a breath here. And then weave the right arm underneath the left arm, finding your version of thread the needle. Taking that left arm towards the top of your mat, if that feels good. And then just pulling apart. The left arm reaching forward, the left heel pressing back, creating even more length in the left side of your waist. So you can add more twist. I find that this extension of the left leg also helps to square off the hips. So if you can feel the ball mound of your left foot on the ground equally from the inner foot to the outer foot, you kind of turn the hip down a little more and accentuate the twist in the spine. Okay, one more breath. Very nice. Take the left hand to the mat by your face. Unwrap your right arm high. Take a breath in. And then start to reach back. You can stay like this, or we'll float the left toes and catch the foot. And then as you kick your foot into your hand, feel the stretch in your right pec. Keep the knees narrow, hugging to the midline. A little extra length in the tail will help you open up the hip crease a little more. Very nice. Go ahead and release all 4 paws to the floor, cat pose, round the spine. Awesome. And then from a neutral spine, we'll find extended puppy pose. So your hips stay on top of your kneecaps, but your hands come forward. And then the forehead can hover, it could be on a block, or maybe it touches the floor. But it should feel sort of like a downward facing dog in your upper body. From your hips to your wrists, just let the length settle in. Good. Excellent. Now you can just hover your forehead off the earth looking forward and slide onto your forearms, coming into Sphinx pose. So we'll stretch the legs back behind us. And then you're going to walk your elbows in slightly so they're right underneath your biceps. And then just do a little shrug of the shoulders up by the ears, roll the shoulder blades back, and then push your elbows down through the ground. A lot of times we feel low back pain because we're not using the abdomen on the opposite side. So notice if you start to lengthen your tailbone towards your feet, your abdomen activates and you find that core strength, so that inner support for the low back. I want you to keep that, especially when you do back bends. And then turning on the quadriceps from here, feel the kneecaps slightly float off the floor. You can stay there, or if it feels good, you can float the elbows, but keep that same tone in the low abdomen. Good. Take another breath. And then we'll take it down. Forehead to the mat. We did this last week, the spider cobras. It's something I like to do when I need some neck and shoulder therapy. So you take your fingertips to the floor. They're just outside the line of your ribs on the outside of your mat. Elbows are pointing straight up to the sky. And your forehead's on the ground. And you're going to feel your shoulder blades squeeze together like you can hold a pencil between your shoulder blades. That part is very important for the neck mobility. So keep that. Exhale. And then pressing into your finger pads, start to float your forehead up off the floor. Then when you come down, we'll bring the right cheek to the mat. Go slow, exhale. Doing that again, imagine the back of your head starting to lift, 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 lift. And then you turn the left cheek to the floor, release. Again, inhale, like the back of the head initiates the action. And then as you turn your right cheek to the ground, maybe your right shoulder starts to dip forward and that shoulder head tries to touch the ground. Inhale, pressing into your finger pads, lift back up. Looking over to the right side, the left shoulder dips forward and towards the floor. We do that one more time, coming back up. Looking to the left, try to look over your shoulder as the right shoulder head dips forward. And then inhale, roll your head back up. And then the other side, the left shoulder dips forward, looking over the right. Good. Go ahead and rise up, take a breath here. And then we'll go all the way back down, forehead on the ground. Just let your forearms be flat on the floor so they frame the edges of your mat or just off the edges. Just relax for a second. Let the shoulder blades release. Good. And we'll do another shoulder stretch while we're here. Take your left arm straight out to the left. So your hand is extending straight out from your armpit. And then the right hand's going to just come up underneath your shoulder as if you're doing like a cobra. We're just going to use that right hand to help you roll over onto your left arm, onto the left side of your waist. You can bend the right knee and kind of tap the ground behind you with your right toes to help hold some of the weight. You've likely done this stretch before, like on a wall, if you've extended an arm and just turn your chest open. So you might feel this in the front of the chest and the pec. You might feel it in that space between the shoulder blades. Just take your breath wherever you feel it. And you choose how intense the stretch is by how far you roll over. Some of you might be able to reach the right hand back and interlace it with the left. Good. And then just come back onto the stomach and go the other way. So now the right arm is going to stretch straight out to the right. The left hand's underneath your left shoulders to help you push yourself over and roll onto the right side of your waist. Let the head stay heavy on the floor. And then you choose how far you want to lean back or if you want to add the bind, knowing that two sides aren't always the same. Accepting what is happening on this side at this time. Awesome. Okay. When you come back to center, we'll just frame the hands on either side of the chest and just slide into a child's pose from there. So take it slow, take it easy. Hips back towards the heels, forehead on the earth. Scanning the spine, the shoulders, the neck. Just notice if anything feels different at this time. Like you're meeting yourself all over again, accepting the circumstances as they are right now. Good. Now go ahead and make your way up towards your hands and knees. If you have blocks at home, this transition could be easier with blocks underneath your hands. But what we're going to do is kind of like that core strengthening in the beginning. Just stretch the right leg up and back behind you, breathing in. And then we're going to step that foot forward between those blocks, between the hands. So the blocks just give you a little extra room. Now we're going to keep the hands down. We're going to let the head hang as well. And focus the stretch on that left hip crease. As your chin draws in, the back line of your body gets longer. So you might even notice more tingling or stretch in the low back. You can even keep the weight in that left hand and massage your neck with your right hand. Just take it to the nape of your neck and give it a few squeezes. Just keep sinking that left hip forward and towards the floor. You can have the left toes untucked. And press down through the top side of the left foot. All those toenails smearing into the ground. It's all connected. Opening the hip, the low back, the neck. Awesome. Now we're going to keep the weight into that left hand. Let's see if you can follow along here. I'm going to try to roll onto the outer edge, the left side, pinky toe side of my left foot. And I'm going to turn my chest towards the right side of the room, the right side of the mat. And I'm heel toeing my right foot farther down the mat at the same time. I'm going to turn around so you can see it from the other side. So we just went from this lunge to rolling over towards this side body stretch. I want to get into this lat area on the side of the waist to kind of help with the shoulder release. So at first, you're just going to let your hips sink towards the ground. I'm keeping my left ankle strong and flexed. My left leg is straight. It's like the end of it, like a hammock post, you know? And so the hammock is the side of the waist. The other hammock post is your left arm. Keep it slightly micro bent just so you don't lock it out. And then that right foot is stacked underneath my right knee. My right knee is kind of in front of the line of my right hip. So you can keep that stack. Use your right forearm to gently push your right knee towards the back of the mat. And then see what happens when you start to turn your heart towards the front of the mat. Find a little lengthening of the tail. You might feel this in the psoas, the side body there. Yeah, looks good. Okay, so instead of sinking into the ground, now I'm going to have you just float your hips so we come into this sort of modified side plank. So you're going to push down with that right foot. Let it help you float your hips. Just find a little strength here. You can open up that right arm. Strong in the left leg. 3, 2, 1. Cool. And we're just going to pivot back around the way we came. So you can keep the hips lifted. That'll kind of help with the transition as you spin that right hand back down. And then we'll make our way to a hamstring stretch here. So you can walk the hands back, bring your blocks with you. We'll lengthen through that right leg. As we know, the hamstring is part of the back body. So when the hamstring is tight, it pulls down on the whole back chain as well. So be generous with yourself. Give yourself a little bend in the knee if you need some extra space. Feel the sitting bones broaden, the heel clip into the mat. Find that length in the spine. Inhale. And then exhale as you fold in. Take 4 more breaths, just like that. Inhaling to find the length. Exhaling to find the depth. Check in with the back of the neck. Notice if the neck muscles are on autopilot, just holding up the head. See if there's anything you can let go of there. Good. Very nice. Now we'll just lengthen. See if you can come through that right heel threading back through the arms, back onto the tabletop. Just do a few hip circles when you get there. Turn myself back around. Reverse the directions of your hip circles. Just try to find neutral again. And then finding stillness, we'll start to float the left foot up and off the mat. Breathe in, straighten through that left leg, and then exhale as you draw the knee in through the nose and take the foot between the blocks. So now the left foot is forward, the hands are on the earth or the blocks. You can untuck the right toes behind you, letting the head relax down. Maybe even using the left hand to give your neck a massage. Notice maybe it's at the base of the skull that needs a little more attention. Taking the breath into that right hip crease. Practicing contentment here, accepting the sensations as they are, because only then we can breathe into them. Find a little relief. And then with your mind's eye, see if you can track the sensation as it shifts. So again, we're going to keep the weight in the right hand. You feel the sensation in the front of the hip now, but it's going to shift to the side of the hip as you start to heel toe the left foot farther down the mat on the left side. You're going to pivot to the outer edge of that right foot. So the pinky toe side of the foot is on the floor and it's flexed. Try to keep that right leg strong and straight, but the hips are sinking down towards the ground, creating this nice hammock sway through the side of your waist. And it's okay if your right shoulder comes up by your ear. You can even let your head rest there. Just think of like, how much space can I make between my right hip and my right shoulder head? And then that could be plenty for you. If you want to add a little more, think about the left forearm, pushing the left thigh open, so towards the back of the mat. The hips stay square towards the side of the room, but you start to turn your chest slightly towards the right, towards the top of the mat. How's the breath? Good. Awesome. And then we'll invoke some strength by pushing down through that left foot. Hips are going to start to float up. So they line up with the heel and the head and this diagonal line. Lift the left arm up towards the sky. Just hold it for 3, 2, 1. And keep the hips lifted to help you pivot yourself back around. So the left hand's coming back down. You could catch that block. Lowering the right knee. So we're moving from the lunge into the half splits. Take your time to find that alignment. You got your hips stacked above the right kneecap. The blocks can be whatever height you want them to be. Bend the left knee as much as you need to, so you can find a little release. Take a breath. Folding in, exhaling. Just being curious about the sensation. Notice when the jaw and the head give way. Good. One more deep breath. Awesome. Okay, just like before, we're going to come back up onto the hands and thread the left foot through. The knees come back towards the tabletop. Then you can move into those hip circles again. Maybe even shorten up your blocks. We also know a strong core equals a happy spine. So you're getting your strength and your flexibility today. It's great. Reverse the hip circles. Good. Now, similar to the last transition, go ahead and kick your right foot back and up, float it off the mat, breathe in. This time we're going to come into pigeon pose. So bring your right knee just behind the block under your right hand. See if you can swing the toes over towards the block under your left hand. And then you can tuck the left toes under to help you scooch your left toes back, your left knee back. Okay, so we're in a figure 4 variation, right? So if this doesn't serve you, you could instead do figure 4 by lying on the back, crossing ankle over thigh. But it should be that same sensation. So you have that heel crossed laterally across your mat. We're getting into the outer right hip here. And you've already opened the front of that left hip. So just take a breath there. And then if it feels good to take the elbows down, you could put them on the ground or the blocks. You could even stack your head on your block. Bring your attention back to the breath. And sometimes it helps to have the mind tell the body what to do. So you can practice the mantra, inhale, let, exhale, go. So as the breath comes in, the mind says, let. And as the breath goes out, the mind says, go. And pretty soon, the body listens to the mind's request. And as the muscles give way, perhaps you can explore a little more depth. Maybe the head gets closer to the earth, or the hips sink farther back and down. As you breathe here, a few more rounds, continue to watch the mind. Watching for any attachment or aversion, any thoughts of, well, this was better before, or of the sort. Instead, accepting as it is right now. Good. Awesome. And then we'll slowly come back out onto the hands. Eventually, you're going to scooch that left knee back up onto the mat behind you. And then we're just going to thread that right leg open. And then we're going to open up the hips. You can do some knee circles with that right hip, or you can think like a dog at a fire hydrant, just let the hip open up to kind of reset it. Sometimes it feels intuitive to let the left forearm or elbow come to the ground to help you open up that right hip a little more. Good. And when you feel kind of reset in that side, we'll switch. Again, if the blocks serve you, you can use those under your hands. Otherwise, we'll float that left foot back behind, breathe in. And then using the core, draw the left knee over towards the left wrist, weave the toes over towards the right wrist, scooch the right toes back. Yeah, however you want to find your pigeon pose on this side. Remember, you can also lie on your back. And the angle of that front shin determines the intensity. So if it's too intense, pull the heel in closer to the pubic bone. If you want more intensity, then draw the shin farther forward, in which case it's very important to keep the ankle flexed so that you keep your knee happy. And then we'll take a breath at the top. And then slowly take it down, elbows to the ground of the blocks. Slowly settling in. You can put the block beneath the forehead or stack your fists. Coming back to the mantra, inhale, let. Exhale, go. Letting go in the tension in the hips. Letting go of the tension in the back of the neck. Every breath is an opportunity to let something else go. As you let go, explore a little more depth, perhaps the chest, the forehead, feeling that space between the hips alongside the waist, really long. What else can you let go of in your hips or in your head? These last few breaths here. It'll be a different version of you when you rise, a little bit lighter, coming up onto the hands. You can shift the weight onto that right knee again. And then leave that left thigh open. Do some knee circles, that left hip, maybe the right forearm comes down just to help counter the balance. Yeah. Good. And then when you feel complete, just bring the seat to the ground so you can swing both heels around. And keep your blocks nearby. Have the feet together and the knees wide. Just come into this Baddha Konasana. And I want to give you the opportunity here to massage your feet, because another part of why our neck gets tense is when our feet are also overworked or really tight. So even if you just massage your feet, roll them on a lacrosse ball in the morning, you'll notice like you can send your head back farther. It's kind of trippy. There's this piece of fascia, this tissue that wraps from the soles of your feet all the way down the back body, all the way up through the neck, all the way into your eyelids. So if you just massage the arches of your feet here, work your way through the toes, give them a little tug. And you can work your way through the pinky toe side of the foot, the ball mound. And if it feels good to even squeeze your ankles a little, maybe moving up towards the shins. Good. Okay. When you feel complete, just take a nice long breath in with a long spine, sit up tall, and then just bowing forward, bring your heart towards your soles, let your forearms kind of help guide the knees towards the earth, relax the head. Excellent. Now, as you rise up, I'm going to put you in your final rest. And I'm going to suggest, if you have blocks at home, a supported heart opener. So I have these tiny little blocks. You guys look like you have normal size blocks, but you're going to put your one block is going to be on its tallest setting. And then the next block is going to be on like this, its side setting. So your tall one will probably be like up to here. And then the next one would be like on its long side. And this top one's going to go underneath your head. This other one's going to go right between your shoulder blades. If you don't have blocks at home, don't worry. Just lie on a pillow, or you can just lie down. But the feet can stay in this butterfly shape if that feels good. I'm going to bring my elbows to the floor and try to position my rib cage, that space between my shoulder blades, on that first block. And then as I rest on that, I can take my hands up over and help adjust the other block underneath the base of my skull. So you kind of get the head floating higher than the ribs. And if it's uncomfortable, usually it's because the block between your shoulder blades isn't high enough. So you can kind of reach from underneath and like slide it up a little bit. And then the arms can stretch out down by your sides if that feels okay. Option to straighten out your legs, or you can have the feet on the floor with the knees bent. Just opening up the heart space today, and also giving the head a bit of a pedestal to kind of lift it up out of its compression. So if you have any questions, you're welcome to ask, but you guys look pretty good. When you're ready to settle in, we'll take a nice cleansing breath. Let it go. Let the jaw relax. You can rest your bottom lip across the top row of teeth. Invite the tongue to drape back into the cave of the mouth. Position your eyes downward in their sockets, like you're looking down. Feel your brow just wash clean, free of any wrinkles, of any tension. Throat is relaxed, the back of the neck just surrenders to gravity. Trust the block beneath your shoulders. Let it just take all the weight, soften into it, surrender. Feel the hips and arms, legs just sink into the floor. Continuing to watch the mind for any thoughts of like or dislike, of attachment or aversion. And instead, rest in contentment. The yogis figured out a long time ago that suffering is due to this attachment and aversion. And so we find inner peace by accepting things as they are. And from this place of acceptance, we're able to create change and transformation. But until we accept what is, none of that is possible. It's a practice like everything else. You could rest here and practice as long as you need. Continuing to watch the mind. As you're ready, if you're ready, you deepen the breaths a little. Take it slow as you bring movement in the fingers and toes. And then if the feet are together, the knees wide, you can just start to stretch the feet long. And then the arms can come up overhead. Maybe you touch one wrist with the opposite hand. Stretch, reach, and then just let the elbows soften a bit, sink into this heart opener for another breath. Good. And just slide the feet to the mat so the knees bend. You're just going to leave the blocks as they are. Your exit strategy is just to roll off them over to one side and then come to a fetal position, letting your head rest on the upper arm. Just pausing here. If you were in that supported heart opener, taking some attention to the back space of your heart. And with a 360-degree breath we did in the beginning, imagine you can breathe in that way, breathing out through the front and back of the heart. Feeling expansive and capable of change. And only when it feels right, we'll take our seat, coming back up onto use your hand to help you rise up to your seat and just keep the eyes soft, cross the shins. The hands together at heart center. I'd love to finish with a cleansing breath followed by a round of Om. So first, just take a nice inhale through the nose. Open mouth, exhale. And then breathing in for Om. Sit with that vibration, the reverberation in your chest, and let it remind you that you are energy, constantly changing and transforming, undying. The light in me honors the divine light within you. Thank you very much. Namaste.